In Turkey, everything starts and ends with the tea. 4 years ago, everywhere I went to, I was offered tea. Seems as the only thing stable and consistent in Turkey today is love for the tea. But even that is not offered as freely as it was in the past. Prices changed also. Now in Antalya, a cup of tea may cost you an equivalent of the buck 50. I made many observations in 4 years. Stick around, I'll share them. By the way, subscribe, share, like, and comment. Turkish market is legendary. Whatever is organized in Turkey seems to turn into bazaar. People make a living out of it. It's a culture of the Silk Road. Turkish salespeople are the best in the world. I swear it. I go to buy my fruits and veggies to the market twice a week. It's fun. You make and meet some friends. When I first arrived in November 2022 Antalya, Turkish lira was under 6 to a dollar. Today, it's 34.5. Keeping lira stable seems like trying to inflate a balloon with a hole in it. 4 years ago, in Antalya, people were relaxed and laid back, even in the face of COVID. Travel stopped, but Russian tourists seemed to not care. They were coming. Merchants were thankful that tourists saved their businesses. Now some merchants at the market are very temperamental when one buys small quantities. Occasionally, they even refuse to sell. 4 years ago, police was on alert closing and open city areas for COVID and enforcing masks. It was kind of fun to get around police blocks and go to next block. For me, travel was easy. No people at the airports. The only difficulty was getting COVID form to show to the airlines. The food at the Istanbul airport was cheap. Now it's everywhere expensive. A cup of coffee was under $1. Now it's easily 3 to 5, sometimes more in Antalya. And Antalya airport is even more than that. And Antalya is losing its cheap holiday charm. Now it is sleep under the stars instead of the hotel and dodge overpriced meal. That's the game. Turkish tourists prefer Greek islands, and they have a good reason for that, because prices there are half of those that are in Turkey. So I'm just kind of wondering why other foreigners come to Turkey when Turkish people go to Greek islands. And sometimes those prices are 1/3 of the Turkish. After COVID, Antalya experienced inflow of people from Russia and Ukraine escaping war. They were buying real estate and prices were pushing higher. Some people liked it, some people did not, and the smart ones were making money. The property owners were forcing their tenants out to rent flats to foreigners at higher price. Rents became expensive and they still stay so, even though they caved in a little bit, but not by much. The banks were full of foreigners opening accounts and the banks were demanding outrageous deposits. The local people complained of high rent prices, and some city districts were closed for foreigners to reside, and it is still the case. They're still closed, but it did not help reduce prices of the rent. The streets were full of people hustling this and that. Documents that were freely given on demand in the past in the government offices, now they cost 15 USD and up. It's still so. Demand is not high any longer, but it is easy money for treasury. The tea and salads in the restaurants in 2020 were free. Not anymore. Tradition changes with time. It feels like soon tourists will be taxed on every selfie they take if it goes the same way as it did before. The legal residences became difficult to get and people started moving to other countries. Police started checking documents and detaining people for overstay. Now all of those people are gone, all the foreigners are gone. The fun is gone with them, but inflation is still here. You know what they call inflation in Turkey? I call it a royal pain. Prices are going up faster than my heart rate after Turkish coffee. Seems as people shouting louder and driving faster these days to cope with the economic situation. There is more cheating now in the commerce and more law enforcement. Turkey is hiring another 12,000 police officers. Turkey is hiring another 12,000 police officers. In recent survey, Turkish people were rated second from the top in experiencing anger. It is a reality. I see tension in the society. Now tourists keep asking why everyone is so aggressive in Turkey. Tourists prefer to stay in hotels rather than go shopping. I tell them it's a part of the authentic Turkish experience. Of course, I'm joking, but it's a reality. Hard times. Rich people are still here. Posh restaurants are still filled to the maximum occupancy. Middle class continue buying premium phones on credit. They live here and now. They drink coffee for $5. Phones are 2 to 3 times more expensive in Turkey than elsewhere. People spend gains from deposits on 45% per year. 2 years ago, it took an equivalent of 200 USD to register a foreign purchased phone in Turkey. I thought it was steep. Starting in January 2025, it will cost nearly 1500 USD to do the same. They should have named it after a movie character Dr. Evil. Don't you think it would be funny? Dr. Evil phone tax. One can buy some budget phones with the decent characteristics for about 150 to 200 USD, but people want premium phones. During my 4 years in Turkey, the laws changed many times and changed fundamentally. One could compliment the government for taking a quick action when the situation changes if those laws were effective. But I look at it now as a game. Game show, guess what's next? Change is natural in life, but our reactions are optional. Now banks are empty, no lines, hardly any foreign people on the streets. Maybe it would be more effective to let some situations resolve themselves? I don't know. It seems like informal economy in Turkey is a tradition too, and in 4 years I learned why. Doing business in Turkey in face of constant changes is definitely for those who like adrenaline rush and do not need money. Changing regulations make things complicated and take much time for entrepreneurs to deal with. And taxes pop up from nowhere. Only love for tea is stable and consistent in Turkey today. But even that may change.